Hello and welcome to the WorHammer podcast. We've got something very special for you today. He's one of the biggest names in wargaming, but also one of the most honest and forthright. And for me, that makes him one of the most interesting. So without further ado, let me introduce MiniWarGaming Dave.
Hi, Dan. How are you? Pleasure being here on your show.
Thank you. I'm delighted to have you on. I'm going to try not to fanboy too hard. I know that must happen quite a lot. Probably gets a little embarrassing.
This is a no embarrassment zone. It's I was a little disappointed when you said there had to be clothes. So, it's all good. This is your house. So, see miniatures in the background. That gets me excited. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise. I mean, I love the backdrop you've got for your videos, and it's great to see you in that room. There's so much cool stuff in there. Always feel when I'm watching your videos, I find something else new in the background.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, you got to have the warlord over your shoulder. I like to think of him as my angel of death. Yeah.
The place I wanted to start is not a traditional area for wargaming, which it's LinkedIn. When I saw you pop up on my LinkedIn, my first instinct was why, and then immediately I thought about it. I was like, oh, actually, why not? Like, why shouldn't we be on LinkedIn?
It's almost like a round peg, square hole type of scenario where it's like, it's kind of odd. But you know what? Screw it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to necessarily make sense to me in my mind and what I think the platform should be used for. I just think it's another place to connect with people. And that's ultimately what I want to do.
Yes.
I want to connect with people and I want to connect people, period. No matter where I am. And I just find myself doing that naturally in whatever degree, whatever the context. Doesn't even have to be in the tabletop industry. It could just be anywhere. It's just because whatever I think about, whatever I feel, and whatever I talk about, I can't help but get excited about it. I can't help but be enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
And just kind of, want to promote the thing that I'm talking about. So, okay. Yeah, that seems to work. And it's already worked. And there's already been dozens of people that have reached out, owners of companies and individuals and degrees in between of like, hey, I'm happy to see you here on LinkedIn. Very cool that you're here. I'd like to collaborate with you for this reason. So it's like, okay, it's already working.
That is how it's meant to work. I think a lot of us that have been on for a while became a little cynical because it basically ended up being lots of marketers shouting at each other. But I think what intrigued me was, as I said, my first thought was kind of why do this? And then my second thought was actually, does this mean that we are making it or we've made it in terms of we deserve to have our profession on that platform the same as any other, if you like? And it made me wonder about the mainstreaming of the hobby in general. Like, are we at a point now where we can be on LinkedIn and people aren't going to think it's weird?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's time. It's time for that to make sense. And also because of how the algorithms work, and they're slightly unique per platform, but they're similar in the sense that they do connect interest to people. So if you're interested in a certain subject, more of that stuff is going to show up in your feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, in terms of mainstreaming, obviously there's still a way to go, but are we approaching mainstream? Are we there yet? Where do you think we are?
I think we're approaching it. Are we there yet? I would say not quite. And I mean, as the years continue to progress and the more mainstream experience is applied to the core of it, which I'm going to say the story behind the biggest tabletop experience, the biggest tabletop miniature wargaming experience. I'll specify that, WorHammer, and certainly with Henry Cavill and his projects that he's involved with, like that's going to certainly help it massively. Secret Level on Amazon,
Yeah,
that helps it massively. Like video games, Space Marine 2, Total War, like all of these things help it massively. The actual traditional experience of the tabletop, over the table fighting alongside someone in person. That thing, I think that's a ways off because we think of Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like, is that mainstream? I'd say yes, that's mainstream because of time and tenure, and then multiple. It's multimodal, right? Like it's in Stranger Things,
yes,
and so that's one of the biggest shows on Netflix, and so we see it. People who don't know what that is, they see that, they can see what it is. It's clear, and it's just another experience to associate to the thing itself without people having to necessarily partake in that experience. They're at least aware of it. And so, yeah, the bigger platforms kind of promoting the experience increase the awareness of it.
I fully agree.
I think it's a ways off, but it's getting there. That's how I would.
It feels
that's
like
my sentiment.
it feels like it's kind of growing, it's slowly seeping out there organically, and then occasionally it takes a little jump, like Secret Level or like being on South Park. As much as South Park is kind of, well, South Park satirizes everything, but it was that South Park is a big cultural, pop culture phenomenon, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And then
100%.
and when that Henry Cavill show drops, then we'll see another explosion, I think.
I think so. Yeah. There's a lot of hope for that, for the success of that. And I love it. I love seeing that perspective because just to talk on that for a second, there's fans who like really hope that it basically, no matter what is produced, they're going to love it. Right.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then there's well, I hope it does well because if it does, then it's great for everyone. It just makes it more mainstream. And then there's like the more kind of pessimistic, cynical. It's like, oh no, bad idea. No, it's not going to do well. It's best not to even try because it's kind of sacred. We should just keep it the way it is and not try new things. And so there's different perspectives when it comes to, I suppose, anything new. I find myself more in the hopeful category where I'm excited that it's a thing. I'm going to probably be excited about it no matter what.
Yeah.
I'll look at it with rose-colored glasses at first anyway, and then I'll allow myself to analyze it and critique it in a more objective sense. But like the first impression of it, it's going to just be like, yes, I won't be able to sleep.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of this. Yeah, because I'm a fan, right? So it's going to happen that way.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I think I'm a big fan of the Frank Herbert book Dune, and my son took me to see that on IMAX, and it was like touching the face of God. I was just like this for 2.5 hours, and I think that'll be like that for the Cavill show as well. I just can't wait.
Yeah, and it'll probably and this happens all the time where it's like people that know me but they're not a part of the community or the industry, and they see stuff that happens, they send me links. They're like, "Hey, Dave, isn't this what you're into?" And then I'm like, "That's exactly what I'm into. Yes, I'm happy that you found it independent of me sending it to you." Right? Like that's awesome when that happens.
That's that filtering again that we talked about, isn't it? It's growing. The awareness of it is growing. I think one final point I wanted to ask you about on this subject was, you touched on this just now in terms of the actual tabletop game. I feel like the hobby as a whole, wargaming, has become mainstream within geek culture, if you like, for want of a better word. And I wonder if the tabletop game will ever get out of there. I think there is lots of the other elements of it are already out there, like you say, the video games, that's already starting to percolate out. But I'm not sure if the tabletop game will ever get to a position where it's going to be mainstream, because it's quite complicated. As much as I love it, it is super nerdy, isn't it?
For me, it's a matter of like I see it there's probably 3 reasons why it has a hard chance of becoming mainstream. One is, yes, the rules complexity. And so there's a barrier to entry, number one. It's like you have to have a certain level of, I suppose, like mental acuity. Like you have to understand mechanics of rules and not just be able to understand it, but enjoy that type of thing, right? Like some people are very, very bright. They're very smart, right? But they're like, oh, I have no interest in that. Like that's a game. I'm interested in practical things, real world things. Like that alone will separate. And then there's the actual complexity itself. The second thing is the barrier to entry of the price. And so it's like, okay, there's a large percentage of the population that won't even be aware that it's a thing to be experienced because of that barrier to entry. Like when I grew up poor. Yeah. I didn't hear about WorHammer until I was in my early 20s, right? Like it just wasn't a part of my awareness of the things that I could experience when I was a kid. And so that's a massive one. So unless that barrier to entry is drastically decreased, by comparison, to compare that to Dungeons and Dragons for a second, like the barrier to entry for that is, heck, you don't even have to play with miniatures, right? Pencil and paper technically is the barrier to entry there. So it's like no to minimal cost for that.
Yeah.
And so it's much bigger chance of it just getting interest, right? Just like, hey, play this. This is cool. Just use your imagination. Play this game, right? Whereas Warhammer, it's like you need an army and you need a considerable amount of money to get started to play this thing. Like, yes, you can borrow armies and whatever, but really that's not fully getting into it yourself. You need a degree of ownership when you get into this experience to fully appreciate, I suppose, the emotional nuance of getting into the hobby and really like imagining your characters and them coming to life and you making your own decisions and the hobbying and that translating to the tabletop and then your characters wanting to do certain things in game and you really hoping those dice rolls are successful because of all that time you put into that conversion on your Space Marine captain.
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like that, there's a whole other level to it that won't be accessible because of the barrier to entry due to the price. So yeah, there's that. And then there's also just the fact that it's like, well, you'd said it's nerdy, right? I don't think that's necessarily a barrier to entry, because there's a ton of nerdy things. There's a ton of them now, right? In fact, now it's like, it's almost cool to be a nerd now, where it's like, now it's almost uncool to be a normie, you know? It's like, oh, you don't have a hobby? You don't have something you like passionately obsess over? What's wrong with you? Like, get into something. Don't be afraid to like kind of nerd out on
Yes.
something that just really gives you a lot of enjoyment in life, you know? So yeah, that would be my reason why it'd be hard for it to hit
Yeah.
mainstream.
I
Yeah.
think the brand will go mainstream, but I think the game might stay slightly more niche. Is my
Yeah.
best guess.
Yes, I agree with that.
Warhammer itself obviously has played a huge role in creating more mainstream acceptance of our hobby. But we'll get our grumpy old men hats on here. How do you feel it's changed for the better and for the worse over the time that you've been in it?
In terms of the acceptance
Mm.
of the hobby, or what exactly is
No, in
the?
terms of the game itself.
Well, I think if anything, because there are more people that are experiencing it right now, it's actually a reflection of society in a little bit. It mirrors society, so that kind of almost proves how much it's grown, because it has attracted many different types of minds, many different backgrounds, many beliefs. I like to think of the tabletop as the great equalizer. Especially, you see this at conventions a lot too, where you could have the high school student playing the surgeon, and they have completely different backgrounds. They could be from different countries, beliefs, ages, whatever, right? But they're playing this game, they're experiencing this common thing, and they're playing by the same rules. And at the end of that, really, it's the best general wins. And so I think that's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's one of those rare kind of lived experiences where it's rare that you see that, because there's so much divisiveness that exists. Heck, you think of sports, right? It's like sports, they kind of, yes, they bring people together, but they also divide people, because it's, oh, you play for that team?
Yeah.
Okay, well then you are the enemy. You know, it's like
Yes.
modern day Coliseum is how I interpret sports. Whereas the tabletop is like, oh yeah, I'm a chaos player. Oh, you're a Tau player. And so it's like, it's done in like a joking way,
Yes.
and you still duke it out over the battlefield, but like really outside of the context of the game, you could be mates,
Yeah.
and like you poke fun at each other and you tease each other, and it's a way to kind of bring up discourse that wouldn't normally be brought up, because it's satirical in nature. So you could kind of talk about some hard things, and like, oh, the Tau, huh? You like
Yeah.
a caste system, do you? So it's interesting how it works, and I think it's because of the exaggerated nature of it that allows us to kind of focus on a more extreme version of reality and almost bond over that extreme, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. I think, particularly for people who are, I was going to say socially awkward, but I think that's probably the best way to describe it. You know, it's a great way of bonding and becoming more confident socially. I think. And I know people that have been to my gaming club who started off literally in a corner, like painting by themselves because they were so painfully shy, and are now out there, you know, like you said, giving it the big one when they're rolling dice, and they're as much a part of that as anybody else.
You know, one of my favorite things about Warhammer specifically, let's get into some specifics here. Of Warhammer EK specifically, there seems to be a pattern where the army that you collect is a reflection of your personality. And it's like it's past the point of anecdotal, just because of how
Yeah.
many times certain preferences and personality traits kind of prefer certain play styles and certain lore as it associates with specific armies, right? Like when I see an orc player, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have fun fighting you. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
You just want to see fun explosions. You want to see like randomness, right? Like I get that. And I also enjoy that, even though I don't play orcs primarily. I play the chaos, because that's kind of my ethos, right? And oh, you're an ultramarine player, are you? Okay, cool. All right. So if I create a house rule, you might have an aneurysm. Okay, I love that. Okay, awesome. and so it's just like, it's awesome, because you almost like, you kind of feel like you know the person before you even play with them, because it's like, this is symbolic of you, and I understand that. And if you understand me through my army, then there's an immediate warm connection socially.
Yes.
Even though we don't know each other at all, we're complete strangers, knowing nothing else about each other. We are connected through this tabletop experience. And and it's like scarily accurate how often it just comes up, and it's great, right? Because it's like you almost like if you have a certain level of social awareness as well when you're looking at these things, and it's like you can be considerate in ways that you wouldn't normally be considerate, and you can kind of put feelers out and be more confident socially in ways that you wouldn't normally, because like you can say random phrases to someone. You can be like, did you collect any skulls on the battlefield today? You can say nonsense like that and someone gets it. They know where you're coming from, and you don't look like a maniac. Even though you are a maniac, right? So it's wonderful that way. And obviously it's not like 100% of the time, right? It could just be random, and I collected this army because this person gave it to me as the first one I collected. This is what my personality is. So obviously there's outliers where it's not going to be like exact every time, but for the most part, it's pretty darn accurate. Like it's scarily accurate.
I'd never really considered it that way before. I'm now anxious to ask whether what the personality traits are of Necron collectors.
Well, longevity. Yeah, I think there's an importance placed on that.
Yeah.
Maybe history. Do you like history at all?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, you love it, right? So, kings, dynasties, huh? There's a funny analog there. Interesting. Yes. Okay. What about even tech? Tech and, maybe a little bit of robotics. And it's just funny how it works. Like the idea of rebirth. What about science? Does science interest you kind of in a general sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're a Necron player, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, like I get that. I get why you might be interested in that faction, because the things that the faction represents speaks to you in very specific ways, and it's like a collection of those interests that equal the army.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna start paying more attention to this when I play now. I've never even considered thinking about my opponents in that way.
Yes. Fun fact about Tau players: it's because the thing in the community is like, you're a Tau.
Yeah.
You play Tau, do you? There is this masochistic nature about it's almost like they want to get that rise out of people, where it's like they have a smirk where it's like they know it boils your blood just to see the army, and in a sense, they've already won because they see the response. And so they are kind of in a subtle way already emotionally manipulating the environment that you've walked into now. And it's like, without knowing it, there's like this, you play Tau, you've made a poor choice. But it's like, but really they're like, but have I made a poor choice? Really? Because I'm in the one in control here. I'm just going to sit back and fire and watch you fall on your face. And it's your choice. You choose to do this. I'm just standing here. I'm just sitting here firing. That's all I'm doing. I love it. I love how consistent it is. It's awesome.
And I wanted to ask you as well about the explosion in YouTube. Slightly ironic because I'm talking to you from my YouTube channel, but the mainstreaming or the growth in acceptance of the hobby has led to this incredible upsurge in channels. It's almost like a meme in that, every 40K player's got a podcast now. But how is that a good thing? I mean, it's been creative in a way, I guess, right?
Well, okay. Is it a good thing? I guess it depends on who's asking, right? Okay. So let's say we're GW. Is that a good thing? Yes. That's a good thing. Yeah. More natural, organic promotion of our product. Oh, yes. That's a fantastic thing for stockholders.
Yeah.
So, okay. We know how that feels. What about like new players? Yes, that's a good thing because we know the algorithms are interest-based. So how to play, there's so many options and so many different communication styles that exist on YouTube.
Yes.
Here's a 2-hour game through. Oh, that's good. I feel like a fly in the wood. I could play. Oh, there's a 10-minute quick start guide. Okay, cool. I prefer that over the 2-hour. Here's a short. There's a 1-minute short. Okay, cool. I like that because that's my preference. Here's a podcast because I like discussion-based communication. Yeah, that's excellent. So yes, for a new player, good thing. For an old player who has been playing for 40 years, who is change adverse, I would say that is probably a painful experience. You'd be like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? There's way too much stuff. I am overwhelmed. I don't want this. What happened to the days of just you go to your hobby store and you play with your mates? Yeah, you have a few drinks and then you have a laugh and then you're done. And then you go on YouTube and there's all this noise. It's too much. No, stop. It's going too fast. So it depends on who you are.
Yeah.
If you are a creator, okay, what about me personally? Do I personally think it's a good thing? So I've been in the content creation game for 18 years. I've seen the evolution of YouTube and the algorithm change over that time. I see that before, when you post a video, it would be broadcast to your subscribers. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 500,000 subscribers. You post a video, it could get 1,000 views. Whereas you post another video, it can get 100,000 views.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means that things change and they evolve. And is that for the better, for the worse? Really, it's the platform. And we aren't the customer. The advertisers are the customer.
Yeah.
Right? We freely provide our attention so that the advertisers can show more ads, so that the platform itself, YouTube, can show more ads to potential customers. And so like we have to understand what we're actually engaging in before we assign or apply any sort of judgment to the overall experience. So from my perspective, I create content and I know that if it gets views, I get ad revenue. And so that's a good thing. However, I also know that if my content isn't of worthy quality so as to capture the attention of enough people to justify the time it took for me to create that content, then it's like, okay, I need to discover my own balance of creating stuff that I'm genuinely feel good about, that is not just attention grabby, that is of substance and quality, that viewers can trust will get the same thing when they tune in to my first video or Earth video.
Yes.
And is that my voice has a certain level of integrity that is maintained throughout the years, whilst also trying new things. So that's why I called it the game. It's a content game because it's an ever-moving target. The rules change ever so slightly, nearly on a daily basis, because what works yesterday may not work today. And really, it boils down to why. Why do I make content? Why does any content creator make content? And if the answer is, I do it to make money, I mean, that's fine. We understand that as a reason. But if that is the primary reason, then it becomes a matter, it's a zero-sum game. It's a race to the bottom of the barrel in terms of the attention economy, because then it's just a matter of pure strategy, exploitation, and figuring out, like squeezing out every possible mathematical metric so that I gain. And if you're built in a certain way where you're driven by emotions, which is the case in my case, it's not always logic. In fact, is rarely logic. Good thing I have much smarter people that surround me that help me with things like this. You have to find the proper why. So my why isn't make money. That's part of it, but that's not the number one. The number one is to connect with people and to express art. So if I do this, I know that that makes me feel good and that increases the chance of me continuing to do it. Because if it's not that, then I feel bad and I get depressed and I get discouraged and I think, why? Why am I doing this? It's actually a very good question at that point. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But if I know my why, if I know my reason, then no matter how difficult the day is, it always goes back to that same core reason why I'm pushing for things. Why do I want to try something new? Well, because I want to connect to more people. Okay. Why do I want to connect to more people? Well, because it feels damn awesome to connect to people. That's me. I'm an extrovert. And so I want that. I want to see the excitement over the tabletop. I want to see people get into the hobby. The experience of like someone showing me a miniature, their very first painted miniature for the first time, that's contagious. That affects me. And it is a wonderful experience that I freely promote and you don't have to pay me anything to promote that feeling.
Yes.
Because that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm promoting a feeling, and that the feeling is fun and enjoyment and like good. That's a good feeling to be promoted. It's not promoting rage or outrage or all the stuff that typically drives high engagement through content online. Like, look at this ridiculous thing that you have to see. Man, isn't that an outrage? Man, this is awful. There is plenty of that saturates the internet. That saturates the attention economy. There is less good, wholesome, enjoyment-driven content. There's less of it. But it is my theory that it's actually the car driving in the opposite direction, that it's seen.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think that authenticity is something that people try, but you can't replicate it. If you're not passionate about what you are creating, people can see. Particularly younger generations, they've got much better, excuse my French, but bullshit filters than maybe Gen Xers have. They can spot it very, very quickly.
Yes, to a bit of a scary degree. So I have kids, and my youngest is a Gen Alpha, and he's throwing all the skibbity Ohios at me left, right, and center, right? And so he's saying words that I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do what my parents did, which was what? Why are you using the word wicked to describe something good?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Use proper English. And it's like, hold on. I'm just going to take it for what it is, because I know if I fight against that language, the slang, it's futile.
Yes.
It's going to be, oh, Dad, get with the times, right? And also at the same time, I can't necessarily adopt the language because that's also awkward and weird too. It's like, no, Dad, you can't use those words. It just sounds wrong. And so I become an observer at that point. I
Yeah.
just collect the data. I
Yeah.
just, okay, all right. Now I know
It's
what a gyat is. Okay, that's all I need to know.
it's one of my best ways to annoy my children, or if I want them to stop using a word, is I'll adopt it.
Yes, totally. That's the instant checkmate.
Yeah, it becomes instantly uncool as soon as it emerges from my mouth. That's it. It's done.
Yeah, I love it though. It's great.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about. Obviously, we talked a lot about Warhammer being the driving force behind hobby adoption. It's the proverbial gorilla in the room, and a very big one. But you guys decided to take it on, for want of a better word, with the launch of your own gaming system. And I wanted to dive into that a little bit and find out what prompted you to take on that challenge, and also how hard is it to persuade us diehard Warhammer fans to try something new.
Okay, so if we're putting on our scientist hats for a second, and we're running an experiment, and that experiment is, let's create a tabletop gaming experience. What are our findings? What's our hypothesis? Well, our hypothesis is that if we create an experience that's driven and inspired directly by the community and removes barriers to entry to get into the game, then that stands to reason that it would have a good chance of becoming something that people would want to engage with.
Yes.
And so it sounds good. It sounds wonderful, right? Now, the unforeseen things are the challenges that arise when it comes to the practicality of product creation and manufacturing and the mechanism behind the fun. And so that's where it's new. It's a brand new experience for us. So I would say that, like, why did it start? Well, it's because of new. It's novelty. It's let's get more people into this. It's one thing to promote another product, another game, but it's another to create your own game, create your own intellectual property, and to develop fans of something that you are creating yourself. So it's a totally different game. And there's certainly a lot of support and altruism for the initial idea. But as with anything, if it gets to a certain point, which it did with Ravaged Star, it got to a certain point where it reached beyond the initial supporters and fans of MiniWarGaming proper, and then attracted kind of objective, brand new people, objective, brand new opinions and experiences, then you get more balanced feedback when it comes to everything: the aesthetics of the models, the scale of the models, the mechanics of the rule set, the lore or the lack thereof. And so all these blind spots are revealed to you at that point, because you look at it with rose-colored glasses at first, right? You're like, this is awesome. This is really fun. This is amazing. And then you're in that echo chamber of your supporters where it's like, yeah, this is awesome. And basically, whatever you suggest, if it is driven by passion, then it's contagious and it's going to be reflected back like a mirror infinitely.
Yeah.
But you get beyond that point, then it's like, hold on one second. What's your plan for distribution, right? How many units are you going to produce? What's the initial stock quantities? Build costs, okay? Tariffs, shipping. There's so many considerations that come. Then you can only do your best to kind of forecast best practices and looking at different companies that have worked beforehand. But a lot of companies, they kind of operate with guarded secrets. And so it's you can't really learn like specific nuances. You can learn general things, but a lot of the learning comes through painful trial and error.
Yeah.
And so overall, it has been an experience that has ballooned to a point where it requires much more support for ongoing experience, because it's big, right? It's not just here's a couple squads that are fighting each other over a skirmish game tabletop experience that you can 3D print. That would have been much more reasonable to start given that landscape. But no, we did the easy thing, and we had them produced in plastic injection, PVC plastic, I should say, molded miniatures, because that was also a barrier to entry. So there's so many pros and cons and like balances. Like, for instance, here's a barrier to entry. I don't like to assemble my miniatures. I'd rather just I don't mind painting them so much, but I just want to play the game. So if I don't have to assemble my minis, then I would be much more likely to get into a brand new gaming experience. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so let's look into that and see what it would take to actually produce miniatures that are already assembled. And even running out polls, and it's like, okay, it's about 80%. It's like, yes, please make them pre-assembled. So it's like, wow, okay, that's a lot of you. That's thousands of people. Now it's past the point of anecdotal. So okay, let's consider that. Increase the cost. It does increase the cost. It has to, right? There's more steps in the process, which also delays the fulfillment of the process. And so there's so many considerations. It's a massive puzzle. It's a massive puzzle. So we're still in progress. We're still in progress doing that. And it's not the end by any means, right? It's just, okay, let's see where this goes, and let's do our absolute best, because ultimately the core reason is the same. Let's get more people into the tabletop. Let's directly work with the community to find those pain points, discover them, hear those pain points, address them, and then create solutions to those pain points.
Yeah, I think it was heartwarming to see. I mean, the Kickstarter was phenomenal. For all the detraction and the noise that we hear inside the hobby, something like that is a demonstration of what a supportive community it can be. It really wants you to succeed.
Yeah, there's definite support for it. It's quite humbling to see that enormous support for it, right? There's thousands of people who have backed it, who believe in the idea, who support it, and who want its success. And so that's just like massive gratitude is felt for that. And that certainly fuels all of the decisions that we make to come up with the solutions as best as we possibly can, given our size, right? Like we aren't a game making company yet, right? Like there's companies that are seasoned in producing games and product creation and manufacturing and like doing all this stuff, right? Like we're a YouTube channel company, we're a media company.
Yeah.
And so to make that pivot it's a massive pivot to try to incorporate that. And it's not something we have the luxury of just like slowly evolving into. It's basically overnight. It's like, okay, you are now a game creation company. Go. Like, okay, well, let's do the best we can here. Pivot on the spot.
Yeah, I think the Trench Crusade experience, they obviously tried a different approach, like you said. You know, a smaller scale start, because it's more manageable for one thing, but also, you know, from a game design perspective, that was the direction they wanted to go in, which is cool. But what they've become not victims of their own success yet, but there is some grumblings around the edges of that support now, because there's some fulfillment issues, and you know, it's taken longer for them to get to that process. Has there been any challenges for you guys around that, or have you managed to carry that goodwill on with you?
If we're talking about like production challenges, is that specifically what I mean? We're still in the middle of that, right? So I can certainly empathize with that sentiment. Whatever game company is going through the growing pain period of figuring out the most efficient way of just getting product to market. That's a feat that, if done well, that's one of the biggest achievements in any game company that is producing products for the communities. And so with Trench Crusade specifically, I think about their case, and having spoken with them and meeting with them and kind of learning of their journey and how it's like a decade ago they started. It just slow grow.
Yeah.
And small community at first and slowly grow over time, and fantastic, right? Just like building up that anticipation for eventually a physical product, at first 3D printed product, but now going into hard plastics. I find that interesting because a lot of the initial crowd there, and this is just my general take on it without knowing all the details.
Yeah.
A lot of the crowd there was like, okay, yeah, let's 3D print these models. Like that's how they're available. And that's awesome. We can just 3D print them and have a tabletop gaming experience. Cool. The hard plastic crowd is like, okay, this is a brand new thing. 3D printing, I'm not interested. And so Trench Crusade wouldn't have as much potency. And so like the hard plastic, like the product caters to a different audience. Right? And so the 3D printing crowd's like, oh, wait, you're doing hard plastics. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of crossover there. I like to 3D print miniatures and I like hard plastics, and so cool. But there's also a portion of that crowd that is like, hold on one second. I only 3D print my miniatures. I don't want that. Why are you doing hard plastics? Right? And so it's interesting how it's now, again, it's grown to the point where it has attracted objective feedback where not everyone is going to agree on the
Yes.
experience moving forward, which I think is an indicator of, like, I see that as a good sign of growth. And it's like YouTube videos too, just to draw that analog. If you're making YouTube videos and they get like 50 views or 100 views and all the comments are positive, that's wonderful, right? Very supportive. But then you grow to the point where it's like, okay, you get maybe 10,000, 15,000 views per video. And oh, wait, hold on. Who's this troll that's like leaving these droppings in the comment section? Like, I don't want this. It's an indicator of success. When you get resistance, it's an indicator of growth. And every time, it's like a mathematical thing. Every time it happens. And so it's just, if we recognize what's happening, which is we've grown to the point where we're going to attract haters.
Yeah.
It just means we're that size now, that it is a matter of fact. So I'm happy for the success of Trench Crusade and the growth that they've experienced and that they are at now, so that they get this objective feedback. Because I'm confident they'll grow through it, move past it, and grow beyond it.
Oh, 100%. And I think
Yeah.
it's literally growing pains. It's literally a similar thing to what you're experiencing. And I think most hobbyists, and I would include myself in this, are prepared to wait, because in general, the community, I feel, not that there's, we need to frame this correctly before I go any further. We're not saying that Warhammer is 40K is an objectively bad game. It's not. I still love it, but there is an appetite for more, like, and different. And that is where Ravaged Star comes in and Trench Crusade comes in. And I do think in general that people want to see those succeed. It's a question of, like you say, having to pivot, and you have to, because of the success of the Kickstarter, in both cases, yours and Trench Crusade, you have to pivot quite quickly. All of a sudden, that demand is much greater than you anticipated. So they're nice problems to have, but that brings a whole raft of new problems. Like, how do we do this now?
Yeah. It's much easier to look back and say, I wish the campaign only did 100,000 and that we only produced 20 miniatures and we could have got them out right away and done 5 more Kickstarters in the meantime, or game founds in the meantime.
Yeah.
Because then that would have been a slower, steadier growth, and we could have grown with it and added a person here to support this area here along the way. Overnight success isn't necessarily overnight success. It's overnight dumps of problems that now need to be solved with the perception of success. So it's a completely different thing.
And you're feeling, obviously, though, pretty confident that you're chewing through those issues or those challenges. Issues is the wrong word. You're chewing through those challenges, and it's growing in the right way, the way that you want it to go in terms of Ravaged Star.
I believe that we're moving in the direction that makes the most sense for those problems to be solved, those challenges to be faced, and then we're going to grow through it. Because here's the thing, like we've been around for a while. We're not going anywhere. Like we're not an overnight company that's just like, all right, cash grab. Okay, all right, now we're off. It's like, no. We're going to work through this. Like, we're going to, whatever it is, like, we weren't expecting the success of it. We were hoping for it to grow, and we expected challenges. And because that always happens, like we've seen things that grow in the past, like, oh, look at that company that did this game and they're in post-production kind of sludge now. And it's like, okay, what can we learn from that and maybe avoid some of those things? So will we get through it? Yeah, we're going to get through it. It's going to be an experience, and ultimately down the road, what I envision for Ravaged Star is it is a tabletop gaming experience that you can walk into your hobby shop, your gaming store, you can see it on the shelf, you can pick it up, you can play it right out of the box because it's already assembled.
Yeah.
And whether you're brand new to it or whether you're in it, whatever, there's tournaments, there's the whole experience package that supports it. And so that's the original intent. That's the same intent, right? And then it's fueled by the community, like the playtesters Discord that have helped craft the rules. Like, there's a lot of passion and time that has gone into the whole overall experience. Like, it's not going anywhere, and it's going to move forward.
Good. Thank you. Right.
You're looking good to me.
Oh, you charmer.
Well, you got models in the background. You got a visual bias there that you're hacking into. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you kind of look like a Spaceballs player.
I get either that or Votan, and they're two of my least favorite factions.
I was talking specifically about like your head. I can picture your head on a Space Marine body because I've seen your head on a Space Marine body before.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately,
specifically Vilca Fenrica.
oh, I'll take that. Unfortunately, the rest of the body doesn't meet that aesthetic yet, but I'm working on it.
You got power armor. It's all good.
Yeah, right. So before we take a deeper dive back into some more considered responses, I wanted to fire a bunch of quick questions at you. Are you ready? Okay, number one. Henry Cavill offers you a part in his 40k show. Who do you want to play?
Karn.
Yeah?
Jeez. Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's way better Karns out there, but that's one I'd want to play.
Like it. Who's your best friend in the hobby and why?
Well, that's Gaz or Matt, right? But really, the correct answer is my wife. Yeah, that's the correct answer because I tell her everything when it comes to the hobby, and she influences all of my hobby decisions. So really, that she's the ultimate best friend. And it might sound like a cheesy, corny answer, but that's fact. I show her every video, every project I'm working on, every painted miniature. Is like it's really that should be the answer.
Yes,
because it is the answer.
Secret to a good marriage has got to be your partner has to be your best friend. Painting, playing, or content creating. You can only pick one from now on. Which one is it that you're going to do?
Well, content creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's kind of a cheat, right? Because it's like content creation is about the playing and the painting.
Yeah.
So it's like,
damn it, I left you a get out clause there. I didn't think that one through. What do you prefer on the gaming side? Do you like casual, competitive, or narrative?
Yeah, casual, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer and pretzels.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 tabletop games right now?
Top 3 tabletop games, not including Ravaged Star or WorHammer 40K?
Ravaged Star. Any genuine top 3?
Okay, could even be outside of the space?
Yeah.
All right. So I would say top 3. Okay, games to play on the tabletop. Let's define it that way. Chess.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing a lot of chess with my boys. It's awesome. Yeah, because they're at the point now where it's like they're online and they're grinding, right? They're like figuring out stuff and they're like, oh, so you did this move, Dad, did you? I'm like, they're naming stuff I've never heard of before. I'm like, yes, I did do that move. You're right.
Like the check-off crossplay or something like, yeah.
To Court the King. It's another fun one. That's a dice manipulation game, dice card game, where you gather more cards to manipulate dice. It's a very fun, satisfying game that doesn't play very long and it's not overly difficult to get into. I played with my son, my 11-year-old son, the other night for the first time with him, and he loved it. There's that. There seems to be a theme here. That the theme is I play with my kids, right? Those are the games. Yeah, and the third one has got to be the Harry Potter Battle for Hogwarts deck building game.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's an epic game where each scenario is like a campaign system. Each scenario goes through like each movie, essentially.
Nice.
And like the enemies get harder and tougher and it gets darker, but you get more abilities throughout and like things that you earn in previous games, you kind of looking forward. So it feels like a campaign experience. And that one I play with my wife and my daughter. So it caters to that side of the family tabletop gaming experience. And
the
so
family that plays together stays together.
That's right. I love that phrase. It's a great phrase too. Yeah. So those are the top 3 at this moment in time.
And the last one, I wanted to ask you about Just Move. What are your favorite and least favorite exercises? Personally, I hate crunches. Absolutely hate crunches.
Wow. Okay. So what comes to mind as least favorite are, let's see. Yeah. Crunches is one. Yeah, definitely. I think probably like anything to do with legs. Heck, any leg exercise, probably. Back. I think I'm at this point naming like every body part.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I have to tell you, okay, because this is kind of fun because of how my brain works, and diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and so I like, it's the moment it happened, and my family was like, "Well, duh, Dave."
Yeah.
But did you need a doctor to tell you that? It's like, it's clearly evident. But anyway, in how my brain works, it's like, all right, wait, hold on. I'm going to go and exercise for an hour a day for the rest of my life. Am I going to commit to this? Is this lifestyle now? Wait, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. And so I'd go in spurts, but I'd always stop.
Yeah.
I'd always end up like stopping and falling off the wagon, as it were. But then a buddy of mine, Ben Mudge, he's like, just move, Dave. Yeah, just don't worry about counting reps or sets. Just move however much you move. 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Just do anything, right? And so I'm like, that's fantastic advice. So I'm going to really internalize that and apply it to myself. Okay, well, that means I'm going to do calf raises as I wash the dishes because it's incidental time. I don't have to go to a gym to do this. And it's kind of fun. Let's play a little game with myself. Take the dog for a walk. Okay, all right. Yeah, a little bit of extra. So I think it's really intentional versus non-intentional movement.
Yeah.
So like I'm waiting. I'm in a bank line right now, and I got to wait to talk to the teller. And there's a good 5-minute wait because people like to chat when it comes to do their banking. The most binary thing. Ironically, they love to make it fun. And so Well, here anyway, I don't know. I can't speak for everywhere.
No, it's the same pretty much. Yeah.
It's the same, right? And so that's another place where I like to do just, subtle calf raises. And it's, doing hundreds of calf raises throughout the day, every day. There's so much benefit to that. First off, you're on your feet, and then you're doing like, you're stimulating the muscles, which
Hmm.
getting like the chemicals flowing in a different way. And it strengthens your ligaments, your tendons in odd ways to prevent injury. So it's a predictor of longevity. So there's all these like health benefits to just that one simple movement. And that's just one movement.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, what about the movements that I don't like? Because there's so many of them. What can I do here? Legs. Why is it that legs? Okay, squats. Why? Because of injury. Yeah, I'm scared to do squats. Okay, I've identified a pain here. All right. Well, what if I did bodyweight squats? That less chance of injury if I just do bodyweight squats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do some squats. Let's just do 10. I think about it off the top of my head. Okay. 10 squats. All right. Done. Okay. That's 10 more squats than I would have done yesterday. So if I only did 10 squats a day, uh, what happens over the course of 6 months? What happens to your body when you do that?
Yeah.
Well, you get more flexible, just slowly but surely, a little bit at a time. And you end up kind of squatting a little bit deeper, activating more muscle. And then your brain just comes up with ways of like kind of varying it to keep it interesting. It's like, all right, it's not just squats anymore. It's like you're going 2 seconds down and 2 seconds up.
Yeah.
So now you're implementing time under tension
Yes.
with your own body weight. And then after a while, you're doing challenges because it becomes fun. And it's now activating that kind of the dopamine there, where it's like, all right, I'm going to work up towards this thing. I'm going to try a 30-second down, 30-second up squat challenge, right? Because I've never been able to do that before. And like if I achieve that, then that's something to be proud of. That's something I had to work towards, and it's not impossibly out of reach because I'm now working towards it. And it's this fun thing, and it literally only takes 1 minute. So, okay, yeah, let's do that. And so by doing these little kind of unlocks to work around my personality, it's made it so I have enjoyed exercise now, where it's become this thing that I got to work myself up towards. It's like, okay, all right, I'm going to pump myself up.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, lift weights for an hour, and then come home utterly exhausted and not be able to do anything else. Oh, wait, I missed today. Oh, I'm such a failure. Why did I miss? Man, I suck. And so all this like negative kind of like defeat cycles
Yes.
happened before, whereas the just move mindset is just like, forget all that nonsense. Just move before you have a chance to think about it. Because if you think about it, you're gonna talk yourself out of it. Whereas if you just move for the 20 seconds it takes to do something small, you don't have enough time to really contemplate if it's a good choice or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You just do it. And intuitively, it's a good choice. And you also know that it's like this thing that it's near impossible to fail at. Get up and do 10 calf raises. Like, okay, like that's so easy. You can't fail, Well, I don't have legs, Dave. Well, okay, then do some like push up on your handlebars, do something, do whatever you can to move. I can't do push-ups. We'll go on your knees, do 10 knee push-ups or go off the wall. I started on the wall at one point in time because I was too heavy for my joints and there was not enough muscle mass to push. So I started on the wall. Then I graduated to stairs, right? Then I went on knees, and then I was able to do like plank, and then I could do half a push-up, and then I did one full push-up, and then I was able to do 5 push-ups, then 10 push-ups. So it's like slow progression over time, because you do these things, like you do 10 wall pushes a day, like it feels like it's nothing, but it's not nothing, because we know it's not nothing. The body remembers. The body remembers and adapts. The body counts the reps. We don't have to. We don't have to track them in a phone or a piece of paper. Yeah, I love this stuff. I'm very passionate about this stuff because it's worked for me. And I know there's a lot of neurospicy people out there where it's a challenge to like focus in on something, on one thing. But if you kind of hack your own brain, you can find these exploits that really work. It's almost like, yeah, put your hand in a jar, pick out a random exercise, which only takes 30 seconds, do it, and then done. And if you happen to want to do another one, you can. There's nothing saying that you can't, but just do the one, right? That's the 2-minute rule. That's the 2-minute, like do something for 2 minutes every day to develop a habit of doing something. And then mathematically, your chances of doing more increases because it just stacks on that 2 minutes. But do that 2 minutes. Yeah, it's 2-minute rule concept.
It changed my life because I was one of those people that I was out of a routine of exercising, and you kind of giganticize it. Like it becomes a massive deal. The idea of going to the gym was giving me anxiety because I wouldn't know what I was doing, and I'd be the fat guy at the gym and everyone would be looking at me. And it just made it accessible again. Like you said, it's a way of just kind of not tricking your brain exactly, but it was a different avenue that my brain could go, all right, I can do this. And now I'm back at the gym. it's made an enormous difference to me to think of it in those ways. It's interesting you mentioned Ben there, because you were the two guys who I listened to for that kind of advice. And I think we're not the healthiest of hobbies in many ways. It's changing, but there is still an awful lot of people in the hobby, me included, who could be healthier, I think. And it's changed. You've changed it for me, because you reminded me that, and this is slightly cheesy, but you reminded me that it's a journey. Experiencing the journey is what it's about, not necessarily just reaching the end goal. So I was catastrophically underprepared for how long it was going to take me to get back in shape. So the first few weeks I was like, Dave, you absolute bastard. I'm getting nowhere here. What have you done to me? Whereas now I'm back to thank you, Dave, again now. So we're all good.
Well, that's awesome to hear, man. I'm super happy to hear that you've implemented. It's kind of like the mindset, and it's made sense to you. And I think that's the thing, because you're going to internalize it the way you will, and then you will personalize it the way you will, and like you'll do different things than I'll do, right? Like you'll do your own version of it, and that's the thing I like about it, is that it's adaptable. Like it here's the concept, and then you just apply it to yourself, however it manifests. And I love it. It's great. And there's so many different variations too. Athletes who have been out of shape for many years, they get back into shape. People who've never exercised a day in their life, to start moving a little bit. People who mostly sit. Heck, you go from sitting all day to just standing once an hour.
Yeah.
That's improvement. That's improvement. Like, it's just little tiny baby steps.
Yeah.
And it actually reminds me, Dan, of this thing that I heard recently, which is it was a sports team. Yeah, Stephen Bartlett. So he made this post, Diary of a CEO. He made this post recently. It was actually on LinkedIn, so it comes full circle.
Right.
So I saw this thing on LinkedIn. He was talking to, I forget the name of the manager or the coach of this one team that he was referring to. But the point was, there was this like charity event, signing autographs or whatever, that the team was supposed to go to, and then they decided to cancel on it. They're like, oh, okay, whatever. We don't have time for this. We gotta practice. We gotta improve our game or whatever. Right. So basically their choice was, we're not going to do this thing. But the manager had a different understanding of kind of the macro long-term effects of these daily, seemingly minuscule choices that compound over time. And so by not doing this thing, by not giving back, by not thinking that this thing was important or significant, that attitude becomes a virus that spreads over time and that poisons a team.
Right.
And because of the manager's experience and perspective, instantly rooted that out. And like players got in trouble for that. It's like, no, you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
You need to stop this horrible attitude immediately, and you need to do this thing, and here's why. And so it's like the same thing applies to the just move. It's like, it seems minuscule and almost insignificant, right, to do these tiny little movements. But these tiny little movements got me back into the gym. I eventually, I go to the gym now. I've been going since last December.
Nice.
Almost a year consistently at the gym. I've never before in my life have gone to a gym consistently. Longest stretch is like 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not an athlete. I don't play sports. Right. I'm just a dude who likes to move from time to time, is really what it is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of more in the average general population of people who just appreciate general health and fitness. And so consistency has always been a challenge for me. Right. But it's really helped me be consistent and, kind of making those tiny micro decisions, because what does the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis influences how we are going to be a year from now.
Yes.
It just does. They compound over time. It's massive, and it's hard to see. We can't see it, but we can look back. That's the beauty of it. We do have opposite perspective, where we could be like, hey, hold on. I did do these little things every day for a year, and look at where I am now. And so that's the definition of confidence, right? It's like evidence-based decision-making.
Yes.
Whereas I'm confident that if I continue to do these small things into the future, that I will only improve, because I have improved. It's already happened. I'm not delusional in thinking this. It's literal fact.
It's evidence-based.
This.
Yeah.
It's evidence-based. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much more powerful.
And last question, because I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but I wanted to ask you about whether that has helped you in other aspects of your life. So somebody else challenged, I guess, with ADHD, one of the challenges is staying on track sometimes. And how do you manage that process? Because you always come across on your videos and in person as somebody that's absolutely bursting with ideas, but the challenge is always to get the focus to deliver on those ideas. How do you manage that perspective?
Well, you With that, I think it's certainly it's a process that I've personally internalized over time, because at first it can very easily be perceived as a weakness that needs to be changed and improved, right? Because it's like, well, how do you focus on anything? You got to be able to focus on something. But by kind of leaning in to the personality, by using it as a strength as opposed to trying to avoid it or seeing it only as it can be a weakness, but to only see it as a weakness is a detriment. And so it's worked in the opposite by, okay, because I have all this, I have a lot of energy that I can put towards like things and projects and ideas and collaborations and movement. That means that I am trying a lot of things all the time. And so the concept of failure is, because who likes to fail? No one likes to fail,
No.
right? Like it's a feel bad, right? Like you want to try something, you want them to succeed. But in my case, I don't see it that way. I don't see it as, you know, a fear of failure or not wanting to try stuff. I actually see it as I can't help but need to constantly be moving. And so at first glance, it's like, well, that's inconsistent. But the irony is I am consistently inconsistent. Therefore, I'm always doing things.
Yeah.
And if the sandbox is kind of small enough where the things that I'm trying all fit within that sandbox and they're related to each other in one way or another, then they can all work towards an overall holistic growth direction.
Yes.
If that makes sense, right? Like, okay, making miniatures, making a game, making plastic injection miniatures, design some 3D printed miniatures, create content for it, do battle reports, do talking head videos, do artist spotlight videos, do interviews. And so it's all within the same sphere. It's all like kind of different like nodes.
Yes.
Within the same neural network, if that makes sense. Like it's just, and at this point, it's just become something I've embraced. It's like, okay, I'll probably have 50 ideas a minute. And 60 of them won't be good. So let's go ahead and let's do something, because by doing something, that'll inform the next thing that we do.
Yes. Absolutely.
And it's also math too. It's like and it's evidence-based. It's like, okay, over time, there will be things that hit, that become home runs. But that's a clear case of survivorship bias, right? Where it's like, hey, look, you did something and it worked and it's successful, right? But what you didn't see is the 500 things that I tried.
Yes.
That didn't work. Because more often than not, something won't work in the way in which we hope or expect. But given enough tries, Colonel Sanders will sell his Kentucky Fried Chicken formula by offering it enough times, even though he went through an obscene amount of rejection for that. And so that becomes the consistent thing, is that you try over and over and over and over again. And the failure is actually not trying. The failure becomes not doing anything. That's true failure in my eye. Like there isn't failure in an attempt. There's learning, right? There's calibration, but failure is a full stop, which I haven't done yet. So yeah, that would be my feeling on that. I hope that even remotely kind of addresses what you said to me initially.
Does. Yeah, I think it's important. No, it did. Thank you. I think it's about giving yourself that freedom to have those experiences, I think. And that's, a lot of people are a little bit too nervous to do that. But again, I think there's increments, like try a different painting style on a mini, or there's lots of little steps that we can take to allow ourselves to do these things in a way that isn't too scary.
But I will caveat this though. I will caveat by saying that works for me.
Yes.
That works for my type of brain. Because I've seen enough individuals and different kind of adaptive styles of just being, where some people thrive on consistency, on projected expectation, of risk management, of clear-cut, direct communication, and exactness and preciseness. Like there's different brains, right? So it's like what I just said might be a complete ball of chaos that makes no sense to a brain like that, which I appreciate, right? Because like I said, vast majority of people I'm surrounded by actually are the latter brain, but working together, that complement each other, those brains that complement each other.
100%.
Wonderful things happen.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. May you continue to make many more wonderful things happen. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. If you've enjoyed this video, drop us a like and a subscribe. If you've got any questions, give us a shout, and we'll try and answer them all as best I can. And I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.